Some people buy luxury cars to show off. Me, I bought mine to survive. After years of grinding, I finally treated myself to one thing I swore I'd own before I died: a custom matte black McLaren. That car wasn't just metal and paint. It was my therapy, my peace, my trophy. And in my head, the quiet, overpriced neighborhood I moved into would be the perfect place to enjoy it. Calm streets, gated community, and people who seemed more interested in their lawns than in me. Or so I thought. Because the truth is, peace doesn't last long when you park a dream car in front of people who are miserable with their own lives. Before we dive in, comment which country you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. Just know this: the villain of this story isn't your usual nosy neighbor. It wasn't a bored Karen with too much time on her hands. No, this time it was Randall, a self-proclaimed HOA cop. Not an actual officer, not even on the HOA board, just some wannabe enforcer with a badge he printed from the internet and a neon vest that screamed midlife crisis. It started with a letter on my windshield. Not a polite one, not even close. This was pure Randall certified lunacy, scribbled in angry handwriting. Your car is a threat to our community. It is far too fast, intimidating to children, and violates the spirit of peaceful living. You have 2 weeks to remove it before further action is taken. I laughed. Oh, I really did. I snapped a picture and added it to my HOA clowns folder on my phone. Surely he couldn't be serious. I wasn't speeding. The HOA handbook said nothing about banning specific vehicles. Plus, if anyone was dangerous, it was Randall, constantly blasting down the street in his beat-up Dodge Charger while yelling at kids to respect the rules. Fast forward to day 15. Coffee in hand, sunshine overhead. I stepped outside, ready to enjoy the morning. Then I froze. My McLaren was wrecked. Not scratched, not dinged, wrecked. Windows smashed, tires slashed, paint stripped down like someone had gone at it with sandpaper. The whole car looked like it had been through a riot. My neighbor, Denise, walked up wide-eyed, whispering. She said, "I saw Randall out here with the landscaping guy last night. They were messing with your car." I thought it was weird. Weird? That was criminal. But instead of exploding, I smiled. Why? Because Randall had no clue I had a security camera built right into my porch light. I walked back inside, pulled up the footage, and there he was, Randall in all his fake authority glory, hammer in hand, ranting about neighborhood safety while destroying my McLaren like a man possessed. That was the moment I picked up my phone and dialed my lawyer. Randall thought he could bully me into giving up my car. Congratulations, Randall. You just upgraded me to a brand new McLaren on your dime. When I sent the video to my lawyer, his first reaction was priceless. This guy thinks he's what? An HOA cop? He actually laughed and told me to forward everything to the police. Property damage wasn't a small matter, especially when the bill on repairs would easily climb into the six figures. But Randall didn't just sit quietly in the meantime. No, he doubled down. The very next morning, I heard that annoying knock on my door, the kind of knock only a wannabe authority figure makes. I opened it to find Randall standing there, in his neon vest, cheap sunglasses, and holding a clipboard like he was auditioning for Mall Cop of the Year. "You've ignored official HOA directives," he barked, jabbing a finger at me. "Your car endangered this neighborhood. I have the right to enforce action. Consider yourself fined." I almost choked on my coffee. Fined? By who? The HOA handbook doesn't even mention cars like mine. And last I checked, you're not law enforcement. His jaw tightened. I am law enforcement for this community. If you don't like it, leave. That's when I decided to poke the bear. Funny because I've got video proof of you committing felony vandalism. So, unless you're planning on enforcing that on yourself, I'd suggest you back off. His face drained of color for a split second before he stormed off, muttering something about calling the board. 2 hours later, I found myself sitting in a so-called emergency HOA meeting. Randall had clearly dragged the board members into this circus. Sitting at the table, the president, some woman named Marka, tried to smooth things over. Let's be reasonable. Randall was acting in the community's best interest. Maybe the damage was excessive, but I cut her off. No, there's no maybe about it. He destroyed private property, and you're defending him. One of the quieter board members cleared his throat. Technically, Randall doesn't even serve on the board. He volunteers. Volunteers. That was rich. So not only did this clown destroy my $250,000 McLaren, but the HOA never authorized him to act in any official capacity. At that moment, I decided on 2 things. 1, I'd let the police deal with Randall. 2, I'd let my lawyer deal with the HOA for defending him. And when the cops finally showed up later that week after reviewing the video I'd turned in, they didn't hesitate. Randall was cuffed on my driveway, sputtering about being framed while the neighborhood kids pointed and laughed. If you're enjoying this HOA story so far, like and subscribe, because the story is only going to get better. Because Randall's worst nightmare wasn't getting arrested. His worst nightmare was just beginning. The day Randall was hauled away in cuffs should have been the end, but I wasn't about to leave it at that. My McLaren wasn't just scratched, it was totaled. A man who thought he could play dress-up cop and hide behind HOA excuses needed a permanent reminder that actions have consequences. My lawyer filed charges: vandalism, impersonating an officer, and criminal mischief. The impersonation charge alone carried serious penalties, especially since Randall strutted around in a fake badge and vest like he was auditioning for Cops HOA Edition. When the case at court, the footage spoke louder than any words. There he was in full authority mode, slamming his boot into my car and declaring it illegal. The judge leaned back in his chair, pinched the bridge of his nose, and said flatly, "Sir, not only were you not authorized by this HOA, but you destroyed property worth more than most people's homes. You're looking at prison time." Randall's attorney tried to spin it, but the board didn't even show up to defend him. In fact, by the end of the trial, the HOA was facing its own storm. Homeowners discovered that the board had knowingly allowed Randall to parade around as their enforcer without any official capacity. A petition spread like wildfire, and within weeks the entire board was dissolved. As for Randall, he didn't just get convicted, he got bankrupted. The court ordered him to pay restitution for the car, damages for impersonating authority, and legal fees. He lost his job, his credibility, and eventually his house. By the time the dust settled, my new McLaren sat gleaming in my driveway, while Randall shuffled past in a faded hoodie, avoiding eye contact, forced to live in a rental across town. Every time neighbors drove by, they'd smirk and say, "Careful, Randall might write you a ticket." I didn't have to lift a finger. After that, his reputation was shattered. The HOA was gone.